Randy, we've stalled at about 44. Do you want to go ahead and start?
I can take attendance.
Okay.
So this meeting is being called to order at 7:06 p.m. Mr. Albert?
He will not be joining us this evening.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had him marked absent and I forgot. Dr. Berry?
Dr. Berry here.
Mr. Conkle?
Mr. Conkle here.
Mrs. Marriott?
Mrs. Marriott here.
Dr. Mathers?
Dr. Mathers here.
Mr. Ruffing?
Mr. Ruffing here.
Mr. Schimmel?
Mr. Schimmel here.
Mr. Snell?
Mr. Snell here.
And Mr. Ulmer?
And Mr. Ulmer here.
Can I call for nominations for a temporary president?
Mrs. Marriott.
I'll second that.
Did we not learn our lesson from last year?
Further nominations? Nominations are closed. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any nays? All right, I will hand it over to Mrs. Marriott as the temporary president.
I have no script. I guess we will take nominations for board president. Do I hear any nominations?
Mrs. Marriott, I would like to nominate Mr. Schimmel for board
My
president.
gosh, first I thought you were gonna nominate me.
No, your hands are full right now.
Okay, so nomination for Dave Schimmel.
Yes.
Do I have any other nominations? Or do I have to ask for a second?
Nominations do not require a second.
Okay, thank you.
I move that nominations be closed. I think that does take a second.
I'll second that, Scott.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Dave Schimmel for president. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hold that,
Aye.
hold that,
Aye.
hold that.
Okay, Mr. Snell, what you got for me?
We need comments. And I would just like to say that, remind everybody that this position, along with everybody else's position on this board, sitting at this table, our board table, the most important thing for us to remember is we need to support 100% transparency in this district to our constituents.
Any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Well, the ayes have it. And I guess we'll ask for nominations for vice president. Am I allowed to make a nomination, Mr. Holland?
Actually, you should now turn the meeting back to the president.
Oh, okay, I turned it back to Mr. Schimmel. Thank you.
Oh, that's a cop out. Come on.
Thank you. Short-term President Marriott, appreciate that. I'll open the floor then for nominations for vice president.
I nominate Dottie Mathers.
Any additional nominations? Do we have a motion to close the
I
nomination?
move that nominations be closed.
Second,
Second.
Discussion or comments? All in favor of Dottie Mathers as the board vice president, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Congratulations, Dottie. And I guess our next item of business then will be the meeting place, time and dates for 2021. Meeting place, let's do times and dates, I guess, because the place, we know what the story there is. So times and dates, we've historically done the second and fourth Tuesdays, the second Tuesday as a regular meeting, the fourth Tuesday as a work session, with the exception of June, July, August, and I believe November and December, we've had no specifically set work sessions. Is that how it's been historically?
I believe we've had one in June, haven't we?
June? Okay.
Because of the budget.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so the exceptions for that second meeting then would be July, August, November, and December. All other months then would be the second and fourth Tuesdays. As far as meeting place, well, we're going month to month to see what it looks like. And I'm not even sure how we would structure that. Fred, can you provide a little guidance on how we might want to structure that?
I would suggest that the essential advertisement, the basic advertisement for all meetings, say that the meetings would be in their regular place, and that there be a supplemental advertisement indicating if the meeting has to be changed either to Zoom or some other location.
Okay. So that would mean the meetings would occur in the Mulberry Street Conference Room at the high school, will be the standard meeting place. Meeting time typically would be 7 o'clock. And then we'll have to do that month to month on the special notice when we continue, as long as we continue the virtual meeting. So
Can we save money on a special notice and just make the first meeting in January virtual still? Because obviously we're going to be coming off the holidays when I doubt the numbers are going to be down.
that probably makes sense, Dottie. I think you're right. So with the exception of January, then we'll plan for all meetings to be in the Mulberry Street Conference Room.
Broad Street Conference Room. It's the Broad Street.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Mr. Taormina. I guess you know the building. Does that require a vote, or is that just by consensus, Fred?
Historically, we've taken a vote.
Thank you, Brandy. All right, then.
Well, should be a vote, sorry.
Okay.
before we take a vote, Dave, I have a question. When I first started on the board, I know that we had our meeting set for, I believe, a 2-hour span, and then we'd vote if we were going to extend that for a half an hour. I'd like to go back to that, if possible. Is that something that we would have to vote on, or is that something that, I know, Dale, you know what I'm.
Yeah, I don't know where that policy went, but yes, we had that policy, and I am in agreement with you, Jen, that typically the meeting went, I think it was an hour and a half, because it didn't start till 7:30, but
yeah.
it ended by 9:30. And the only way we would continue the meeting is if a motion was made to extend the meeting by 30 minutes. And then if there was a second on that motion and the vote was positive, the meeting would be extended for half an hour, which basically made the time go till 10 o'clock as the end point. Again,
Yeah,
that was.
Oh, If
I'd
I-
like to jump in
was-
on that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Fred.
That was, as I recall, a matter of board policy. And that would not be something that would be part of this motion for setting the times and dates of the meetings. It would be a matter of amending board policy either now or in the future, probably in the future, to allow for that policy to be reinstituted.
That
Okay.
policy, that change was made, if you remember, Jen, and you was one that voted for that change because more time wanted to be made for the community to speak. And so all business could be completed. And that is also when it was also changed because of giving the community as much time as needed to.
Well, and I don't have an issue with giving the community as much time as needed to speak. I just think that we still need to be mindful of the time constraints on people. I mean, we've got our principals here who have to get up the next day to work and, you know, be ready. I just think, you know, going back to the meeting that lasted until 2:30 in the morning was just beyond. So,
Can we ask the administration to bring a policy forward at the January meeting? I don't know, Bill, what do you think?
Yeah, Dale, I think that should be done. I think that that policy should be amended. I believe Mrs. Basin could get that to us in a very timely manner that we could present that at our next meeting. And speaking of that policy, in the years gone by, what we did was we voted, we would go 2 hours, then we would vote to go an additional 30 minutes, as Jen and Ron said, to give you know, ample time to hear all public comment. However, that vote to extend the meeting at that time required a unanimous vote of the board. And it only took one board member to say no. And that happened a few years back. For whatever reason, that's immaterial, but it happened. Whereas 8 board members wanted to extend the meeting, one board member, it only took one no, and that meeting was over. So I would like to see that policy amended to a majority vote of the board, not a unanimous vote, but a majority vote of the board. And I also feel that after 2 hours, we vote to extend it 30 minutes. You know, if we have a hot topic issue like we have had just recently, and I'm sure that we'll have more, then I do believe that at the end of that 30-minute extension, we should be able to vote again to take it another 30 minutes. And as Mr. Snell said, that would be so that all members of the public could be heard. Certainly, we don't want to go till 2:30 in the morning again, as much as we all enjoyed that so much. But I think we would, you know, if we can't do it in 2 hours or 2.5, then we should have the option of going longer until we can get it all done. That's all. Thank you.
and I think we can amend this policy and give our public ample time to voice opinions about topics.
If you remember, Bill, you was one that brought it up and really fought to not have any time limit on how long the meetings took. In fact, you fought tooth and nail to do away with the 3-minute time limit for people to speak at that time. So that's one thing also that I think we should look at, to stop the 3-minute time limit on the public when they speak.
Yeah, you're correct, Ron. A few years back, I did argue to extend meetings so that everyone could be heard. Oftentimes people cannot present all their thoughts in 3 minutes. And I could see not necessarily an unlimited amount of time. Depending on what other board members think, I could see going from 3 to 5 minutes. I don't know what the feelings are of the rest of the board.
Well, let's just wait until policy is given and we can take a look at it later.
And we're talking two policies there, one on the length of the meeting and the other policy on the allowed time for public comment. So they're two separate items. I don't know that they're in the same policy number, but so we've got two items there to consider. Okay, so with that, we have the structure for the meetings for 2021 laid out. Do I need to reiterate? Are we all good there, understanding that? Are we ready for a vote on that? Okay, then all in favor of that, the meeting layout for 2021, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. And with that, that completes the agenda items for this reorganizational meeting. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 7:22.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. All right, meeting is adjourned, and we can then move now right into the regular meeting of the Montoursville Area School District Board of Directors on this Tuesday, December 1st at 7:22 p.m. And I'm not seeing a change in faces, but Fred, do we necessarily need to do a roll call again? No one's dropped off.
It is not necessary to do another roll call.
Okay, just that I guess the minutes can reflect that everyone that was at the reorganizational meeting is at the regular meeting. All right, this time then if we have any recognitions or presentations, Superintendent Basin, do you know of any?
We will have a presentation on obtaining a therapy dog. And the topic will come up here in January at our next meeting. Amy will be presenting that, Dr. Breon. And we have some interest in having this type of service for our children, especially at the elementary level. So we would like to give her as much time as possible to do that presentation and allow for questions. So we're sharing that with you today so you can be prepared for any questions that you might have in January.
Okay, thank you. At this time, then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda for the student representative presentation. Zachary, do you have anything to present to us? Anything to offer for us?
I do not tonight. Nothing that is really of importance of bringing up at this moment.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. Glad to see you.
You too.
Let's move now to the reading of the minutes. We have the, well, for starts, just a public notice that there was an information session on November 27th at 4 o'clock for information regarding the attestation that the superintendent and I had to sign by 5 o'clock on November 30. So we had an information session with the board on that, just explaining what that was about and why we had to act on that. It was not, it wasn't a deliberative meeting or anything like that. It was just information for the board. Then we had the November 4th special meeting, minutes from that, and the November 10th regular meeting. We have the minutes from that for approval. So I'd ask for a motion on approval of those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Okay. Any corrections or discussions on any of them? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. At this time, I'm going to make note of the supplement P5 that we'll be adding tonight. It's for a volunteer basketball coach, and there was a late-breaking supplement. So when it comes time for public comment, if there's any comment on that supplemental addition of a volunteer basketball coach, why that would be included for the public comment at that time. Additionally, later this evening, at some point, we will work into the agenda as far as the attestation that the superintendent and I had to do. Let me bring up precisely what it was called. The attestation was called the Attestation Ensuring Implementation of Mitigation Efforts. And the superintendent and I were required to sign that and select one of two options on that attestation by November 30 at 5 o'clock. Otherwise, we would have received orders to basically go fully remote, period. So the board tonight will be voting on a retroactive approval of that attestation or endorsement of it, you might say. So there public comment on that item. And that's been posted actually on our district website. So if there's any public comment anyone wish to make on that attestation, they should do that then in the next few minutes during the public comment on agenda items. So, okay, with that, those items being outlined, let's move then to the any prior presentations. Superintendent, is there any prior president? Okay, no prior presentations tonight. Then with that, we'll move now to the public comment period on the agenda items and those two additional agenda items that we'll be acting on tonight, the supplemental and the attestation that I mentioned as well. So at this time, Sebastian, would you open up the floor for public comment for
Sure.
So that closes the public comment section, and we'll have a public comment section at the end as well on agenda items, again, if you wish, as well as any items regarding the school district. So with that, let's move now to the business manager's report. Brandy?
Copies of the treasurer's report for the period ending November 30th, 2020 for the general fund and cafeteria fund will be emailed out later this week. They will be approved in January, and this is due to the timing today being the first. We are just getting our information to complete those. We do not have any budgetary transfers this evening, so we will move on to the presentation of the bills. You have received copies of the listing of invoices for the general fund and cafeteria fund for the period ending December 1st, 2020. We are submitting these to the board for your consideration of approval and payment.
Mr. Schimmel, Mr. Schimmel,
Yes.
before we vote on this, I'd like to have check number 60022 taken out and voted on separately, please.
Okay, separation of check 6044.
6022.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. Make note of that. Separation of check 6022. Okay, with that separation,
Move to approve.
Second.
Brandy, take a roll call on that.
Dr. Beery,
Yes.
Mr. Kunkel,
Yes.
Mrs. Marriott,
Yes.
Dr. Mathers,
Yes.
Mr. Ruffing,
Yes.
Mr. Schimmel,
Yes.
Mr. Snell,
Yes.
Mr. Ulmer.
Mr. Omer, yes.
Yeah, just realized we actually didn't, we had a separation, but we didn't have any comments. Any comments or questions on the previous item there? Okay, all right, let's move then to a check, approval of check 6022. Thank you, there we go.
Move to approve?
Second.
Questions or comments, discussion?
Yes. I checked the invoices on this check, And this invoice, this check number covered 15 signs, metal signs that, I take that back. It covered 14 metal signs and 1 floor signage. And the biggest one was 16 inches by 6.5, which was a one-way arrow. There was face covering required sign was 12 by 12. A wear mask, social distance, and wash hands was 12 by 18. Did you wash your hands at least 20 seconds? Clean hands keep you healthy, which was 14 by 10 inches. And a please stand here for the floor, which was 12 by 12. We paid $299 a piece for these signs, that the biggest one was 12 by 18. There are companies that can do the same thing for between $30 and $80 a sign. This total check was for over $4,000. As a matter of fact, it was $4,754.10. Given the fact that these same signs could have been made at another company for between 30 and 80, just figure $100 per sign, that's $1,500. Also, we paid $269.10 for shipping. This other company that would do them for $30 and $80 a sign, if the order was more than $100, had free shipping. Now, I realize it's easy to just go online and pick the first one that you see, but I think it would do the taxpayers a lot more good, especially in the fact that every year money's tight, but this is a really tight year. And I think we should be looking at ways to keep our costs down as much as possible. Now, I realize maybe these signs were made out of CARES Act fund money, but that's still taxpayer money. We need to watch our spending. That's all.
So may I just, they're not metal signs. These were decals that go on the windows of the buildings, on the floors of the buildings. That probably represents 400 plus signs, and we needed to get them done quickly as the state required us to have mask signs up. So it's not just simple metal signs. These are ones that need to be removed from walls later on without damaging the paint. So they're very specific signage. The social distancing stickers that you see on floors and stores, we have those around the school. The one-way arrows are to help move in the hallways. So these aren't simple $20, $30 metal signs. These were specialized for the pandemic and the signage that was required to open our schools. So, and this, I believe this outfitted all four buildings. I think those invoices represent that. I didn't have time to completely look into it today, but I believe that's what those did, all 4 buildings.
And were other
Dan,
companies looked into as well, or was this the first one?
We do a lot of business with BSN Sports. So it was a good price on a quick turnaround item that we needed to get schools open.
Thank you.
Dan, my question is, how many signs total was it? Was it the 15 signs total like the invoice said?
These came on huge sheets. They're vinyl. I don't have an exact total, but it's probably close to 400 vinyl signs that went up around all 4 buildings.
Yes, I have those numbers, Mr. T.
Okay, thanks,
the 10
Chris.
by 14 sheets. There were actually 27 decals per sheet, Mr. Snell. And then, like Mr. Taormina said, they were large vinyl sheets, and based on the size, the circles, the 10-inch circles were 36 decals per sheet. The 12-inch circles, there were 32 decals per sheet. So it just was based on the size of the actual decal. Very professionally done, and was consistent throughout all 4 buildings.
All right, I appreciate that information. The invoices were misleading because it said that it was 3 signs and 1 sign, 3 signs for this please stand here, 1 sign, for the other ones. So it was misleading on the invoices. So I appreciate the explanation there. I just want to say that there is a company that I looked into that it's called Smart Sign, and they also do the vinyl, and they do the ones for the floor. They do COVID signs, and I believe that their prices are probably comparable, if not less, plus the free shipping. And that's all I got.
Okay. There's no other discussions or questions, and we'll move to the roll call vote on check 6022.
Move to approve.
I think we already had a motion.
Yeah, we had the motion
Yeah.
second. We're waiting for
Oh, okay.
roll call from Randy.
Mr. Beery,
Yeah, with that clarification, yes.
Mr. Kunkel,
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Marriott,
Yes.
Dr. Mathers,
Yes.
Scott, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ruffing,
Yes.
Mr. Schimmel,
Yes.
Mr. Snell,
Yes.
Mr. Ulmer.
Yes.
Okay, and I will just provide a brief update on some things going on right now. The auditors will be here on January 12th for the board meeting. They will give their presentation. You'll receive copies of the audit at that time. And then on January 26th, I will give a presentation to everyone reviewing last year's audit. And at that point, I left the 2-week gap in between so that everyone will have time to review the audit and have questions available that evening that we can answer. Just an update on the cyber enrollments. They have remained consistent through November. So I do not have any further information on that this evening. And that is all I have this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, Brandy. And with that, let's move on to the next agenda item, the superintendent's report. And do you have anything for us in particular tonight, Superintendent?
I was going to speak about the attestation form and the process for doing so, but you've done that very well, Mr. President. Welcoming you and Dottie back. I appreciate the support that you both have given us, as well as all of the board during all of these unprecedented times. If you have not understood, these 2 board members do come into our administrative meetings and they work with us throughout the process. And that would be anything educationally. That is the first time we've had the opportunity to do that. And I really thank them for their time because I think it's very valuable for them to gain perspective as well as offer perspective. So we would like to share the building updates with you that you have asked for. I will start with Miss Amy Breon, or Miss Dr. Amy Breon. Sorry about that, Amy.
That's fine, Christina, you know that. So we've had a lot of good things going on in the Valley despite what's going on with the pandemic. So just one thing that I'm really kind of grateful for is the ability of our staff to rally for some of our families. We handed out nearly 20 Thanksgiving meal baskets to families that are in need, that consisted of donations of turkey, potatoes, stuffing, vegetables, you name it. The whole works went home to these families. And part of that was based on a donation that we received from Blaze Alexander dealership that was very generously given to our school to help make this happen for those families, in addition to provide some of the incentives for our students for our positive school-wide behavior support program. In addition to that, Primus Technologies also donated turkeys that they had as part of their organization to our baskets. And so we are very, very thankful for both of those organizations for reaching out and helping make this family and community gift that we've been able to do for a couple years now possible. Coming up here in the fall, or in the next month, we are going to be doing an elf race where we're challenging classrooms to be able to come in and donate toys for local Toys for Tots and for some of our needy families as well too. So the PTO will be sponsoring this so that the classroom that generates and fills the sleigh the quickest will have cookies and milk as their treat for being able to do that. Thank you.
Mr. Farrar, how about you next, please?
Yeah, just piggyback at, later, I want to highlight from my report, as Dr. Breon mentioned, it's time of banding together and teaming up and helping one another in our community. And we did that with our turkey trot here during November. The students, the families, the staff all banded together and we collected different sundries and food items for the Harvest of Hope program over at Faith Church that directly impacts people in our community. And I tell you, I was amazed. We raised, and the students brought in, and the staff, just under 1,900 different items that we donated to that program. It was absolutely amazing. And we're going to celebrate tomorrow with pizza for lunch. And Mr. Silva is going to play some music. We're going to have a good time about, celebrating that good time of giving back to people in our community. So thank you to all the family, the staff, and especially the students. And again, what a valuable lesson we taught them. So with that, that's again, we got the normal things going on and trying to prepare ourselves for the December holidays and finish up the first trimester, and the kids are doing great. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrar. Mr. Myers.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Basin. Again, we're finishing up our first trimester here on Thursday, December 3rd. Again, we've had plenty of donations from our families and students for the Harvest of Hope program. So thank you for that support. We continue to have dress down days to support local families in need. So thank you to our staff for that. I did report on the last meeting about the next family coding night, and I wanted to give you that information since I did not put that in my report this month. But it will be December 10th from 7 to 8 o'clock p.m. and you can check that out on your local PBS station. This will be for kindergartners through 5th grade. I know, Mr. Ulmer, you were excited about that next one. So again, that will be December 10th from 7 to 8 o'clock p.m. We continue to move forward with our STEM initiatives in computer science within our grades. Hopefully you had a chance to check out our McCall Facebook page. We had our Builders Club induction ceremony here November 17th, socially distanced, of course, and we want to thank some of the students from the high school coming over and helping in that process. And thank you to Mrs. Tira for her support as well. So we're excited about December and the cold weather. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Mr. King.
Yeah, I have really nothing to add to my original report. However, I would like to say that I have been addressing the issues with face masks. Teachers have been contacting me. I have addressed it with students. They have been disciplined. So it's an ongoing effort, and I will address it, continue to address it. with teachers as we go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Appreciate that. And Mr. Taormina.
Just to echo what Mr. King said, it is being enforced. Students are being told if they don't, they're going to wall, or Warrior Online Learning. So it's not something that we are ignoring. There are countless emails to the staff, a couple approaching disciplinary type issues where it's got to be enforced. So when we know about it, we enforce it. Unfortunately, we can't be in the whole building every minute of the day. I know when they walk past me, the fingers go up over the nose, they pull it up. So it's getting to the point where I don't have to say much anymore. But it's mask fatigue, and it slides down during the day. It gets worse as the day goes on. So it continues to be a challenge. I think I've expressed that here in the public meetings in the past. It gets better after these meetings, and then it starts to fade again. I know our next challenge are the sports programs. Athletically, they're required to wear them at practice and in competition. And that's going to be the next mask issue. When you have this being a political issue, it also makes it difficult to enforce. You see it in the stores where people are ignoring it as well. So it is a challenge, and we are not ignoring it. We are spending a ton of time on masks and COVID-related issues. It's most of our day these days. But on a positive note, when we're not dealing with COVID issues, we're trying to continue our opportunities for kids. As Tina Marie Klein mentioned earlier, Academic Decathlon was able to compete this year and will continue to compete this year remotely. We did come in 4th place out of 8 teams. And we had several medal winners. Christian Smith won a gold in literature, a silver in social science, and the super quiz, and a bronze medal for overall score. And that was in the honors division. In the scholastic division, Paul Yoon won a silver in essay. Kayla LeBeau won a bronze in literature. And in the varsity division, Emily Burton won a gold in essay and literature. Andrew McGarvey, a bronze in social science. Noah Huffman, a bronze in essay. Sarah Klein, a bronze in the super quiz. And then we had a few other students compete as well. So they're off and running. Their next competition, remote competition, will be in January, and things worked out really, really well. I also, in addition to the high school report, wanted to comment on something that you will be taking action on later, and that's Coach J.C. Peipher. Normally, when we do coaching changes, I don't have too much to say because sometimes positions are revolving doors. But in the football program, I can remember back being a student and then returning as the high school principal. I know 3 coaches of that program: Coach Chuck Bowman, Coach Jim Bergen, and Coach J.C. Peipher. And the consistency in that program is part of the success, but it's guys like Coach Peipher that really are the program. And he won't say that, it's his kids that are the program. But I think, several district championships, I think he's on here, so he could give you numbers. But I also believe the last time Southern Columbia lost was to the Warriors, a Coach Peipher team at their place. So not just X's and O's. He's just a solid man. You look for positive role models, positive male role models for kids to have these days, and it's hard to find out there. But this guy is cream of the crop. He's just tops, and I hope you vote no, and we can keep him on. But I know it doesn't work that way. It is time. He's got family that that he wants to focus on, and he's given us a lot of good years, and really going to be sorry to see him as a high school principal, to see a guy like that lose him as our head coach. Is painful to see, but I do want to publicly thank him for the years. Just outstanding man. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Taormina. I wanted to also share with the board that we have been meeting with staff. Today we met with the middle school staff to discuss not only the time frame for their remote education, but how we are moving forward with remote education and gaining perspective from our teachers on what is best, what's working, what's not. We will be working with department heads and the departments individually so that we can continue progressing with our remote learning in case we need to, which I'm sure will be hopefully not coming, but looking at some numbers, it is possible. So as we do that, we are learning a great deal from our students online. We are learning a great deal from our staff. Again, the best perspective that you can have is working with the people who are actually doing that job. And that's what I think we do very well, because we do always want those perspectives in the room when we're speaking about things. So in speaking with them today, we did pick up many, many instances where they have some new ideas that they would like to try with remote education. And we are going to allow them to continue development of that and using new techniques. We have to remember, though, our students are not used to having a one-to-one process. Many other districts around us have been doing one-to-one for a reasonable amount of time. This is new to our kids, and them learning how to use Google Classroom, even though they know how to use many social tools. Google Classroom is a unique beast for them to learn. So we are seeing that as part of the issue that we have right now as we're moving forward. But we are all moving forward, which is a great thing with our students. And we would like to continue having those discussions and making changes as necessary. So I just wanted to address that as well. That is all for me, Mr. President.
Thank you. Then with that, would you like to walk us through the agenda items?
Yes, let me pull them up so I can see what I'm talking about. Under G1, approval of an agreement between Montoursville Area School District and Blast IU 17 for IDEA 619 Early Intervention Agreement.
Move to approve.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion by Marriott. Do a second.
Second.
I think I heard Ruffing's voice on that. Okay. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, then say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
G2, approval of the designation of Brandy N. Smith, Business Manager, as the agent for the Montoursville Area School District for the purpose of obtaining financial assistance under the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act.
Move to approve.
A motion by Omer.
Second.
Any questions on that? Discussion?
Yes, Christina, could you give a brief overview of what this is?
I will actually defer back to Mrs. Smith.
Okay.
This is for some FEMA funds that we are eligible for, that we are trying to get. It's not much, but everything matters. So we're trying to work on that, and they require this form to be filled out.
Is that all it is, Brandy? Just a form to be filled out?
Yeah, it gives me the authorization to submit the information.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, then all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
I think Dale's was an aye. A little slow getting the signal out there to So I believe Dale wanted an aye in there. Is that correct, Dale?
Yes, I was at the very beginning.
Okay. Okay. I don't believe there was any nays, so, all right.
Under Personnel, P1, approval of the following change of leave of absence from a member of the professional staff. And you can see the details as follows.
We have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 P2,
Okay.
approval of the,
Christine,
I'm sorry.
I was watching Dale and I'm watching his video and I'm seeing he's about ready to say aye. That signal is slow coming in from Route 87, I believe. So, all right. Any opposed to that previous motion? Okay. All right. Ayes have it. All right. Moving to P2.
P2, approval of the following resignation from a member of the coaching staff effective November the 10th, 2020, and that would be John J.C. Peipher for football.
We have a
Move to approve.
motion by Marriott. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
No one wants to let him go.
See, this
Yeah,
is,
Mr. Schimmel.
Yes, sir.
oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Mr. Ruffing.
in addition to what the glowing words about J.C. Peipher from Mr. Taormina earlier, I had an opportunity to speak with J.C. recently. And while Mr. Taormina stole some of my thunder, he didn't steal it all. But anyway, J.C. spent 20 years coaching here in the Montoursville Area School District. Prior to him becoming our head football coach in 2011, he spent 10 years as an assistant coach under Jim Bergen. And in 2010, I believe it was, he was the head baseball coach for that year. And during that year, they brought home a district championship. And in his 10 years as head coach of our football team, they brought home 4 district championships. And while he's not an individual that would offer up that information to you because he didn't, I had to ask him. But while the win-loss column is very important, more importantly is what he brought to the program. He was, or is, a highly respected coach, a highly successful coach, and he is a textbook example of what a role model should be. I have had the opportunity to speak with numerous, young men that played for Coach Peipher, and you just, never a negative word, never, just nothing but positive. So with that being said, I see that the JC is in the meeting this evening. So to you, JC, I want to say on behalf of the board, on behalf of many, many people in the Montoursville Area School District, thank you for everything that you have brought so much to the district in 20 years. You have certainly molded many young men into better young men. And we wish you well as you now have an opportunity to spend more time with your family and your own children. So moving forward, we wish you the very best, JC. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or?
This is Scott. I would just echo what Bill and Mr. T said. So JC's a class act and he knows that. So.
The coach as a mentor, that in my football days, that's what I remember most. I learned more of life skills in the sports because, well, I wasn't that good a football player, but I learned a lot about life skills, and that coaches as mentors is so incredibly valuable. So I really appreciate that element of what a coach does for an athlete. Okay, with that, then all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Secretly, we all are, but okay, ayes have it.
P3, approval of the following changes to the coaching staff for the 21-22 school year. Mr. Michael Boughton, varsity football head coach. He is replacing JC.
We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions, discussion?
Well,
Hearing-
after all that's been said, I think Michael has some big shoes to fill. So good luck, Michael.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, ayes have it.
P4, approval of the following addition to fill a long-term position. Erica Hepburn will be in from January the 26th until the end of the 2021 school year.
Move to approve.
To approve.
Well, we had a lot of motions. Who
Second.
wants to own that one? I think
Second.
I think Dale had
I'll
it.
second.
Jen wants Dale to have it. Then who has the second?
Second.
All right, Ron, that's okay. Comments or discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
Under transportation, T1, approval for Promised Land busing rates in the amount of $2,394.68 for November 2020.
Move to approve.
Okay, motion by Ron Snell. Let's do a second.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
T2, approval of the following additions to the school bus drivers list for 2021 school year. Ariel Rude and Tiffany Rude for Promised Land busing.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Debate, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
May I please have a motion to add the supplemental P5 to the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor of adding P5 to the agenda, say aye.
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 Opposed? Now, if we could have a vote on P5 itself.
Move to
Move
approve.
to
We have a second. Did we get a second there?
second.
Oh,
Thank you. Any questions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
And that completes the agenda.
Okay.
Thank
then
you.
With that, let's move to the agenda item regarding the approval of the attestation. Does anybody want to pose a motion to that effect?
Motion to approve you and Christina signing that.
Second.
Questions and discussion on it?
The only question I have is, that was sent in yesterday, am I correct?
Yes, we forwarded our copy on November the 30th as requested. And if you look at the state approved list of the attestation forms, you will see it by county and we are listed.
Okay, that was my next question. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, then all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. And with that, that concludes our action items, I guess. Then moving then to other reports, and I'd ask the Vice President Mathers to walk us through those reports. I guess this will be concluding reports. I'll reach out to all of you regarding thoughts for next year. But Dottie, would you go ahead and walk us through the reports?
Okay, the first committee is PSBA, and I do not have anything to report for that. Policy Committee, Mr. Ruffing.
We don't have anything right now for the policy committee. Obviously, we will next month, though, as we discussed earlier. Length of board meeting and length of time for the public speakers. So other than that, that's what's going on with the policy committee.
Okay, and do you have anything for IU?
The
Mr.
IU, the headline right now, the headline news for the IU is the Early Childhood Intervention Program, which we discussed we didn't really discuss, we approved earlier. Other than that, we have agreed to meet virtually right up till next June. So looking ahead, that's where we're at, and I have nothing further to report. Thank you, Dr. Mathers.
Okay, thank you. President Schimmel, LCTC.
Yeah, we met a couple Thursdays ago, and it's kind of running as normal. But with schools going remote and things like that, it's making it difficult for some of the programs to have some continuity. They're actually running essentially two models of instruction, and some of the instructors are really hopping to get both remote done and in class done. So it's a tough time down there, but they're making their way through it. Also moving along regarding adding Benton as one of the school districts that will be a sending district to the LCTC, and we'll be working on what that looks like in terms of bringing them in contractually and financially and whatever is involved there. So that's going to be an ongoing process, but it looks like that will happen if it's agreeable to all parties.
Thank you. Yeah, I hadn't realized how difficult it.
You muted yourself, Dottie.
Sorry, I hadn't realized how difficult it would be for the LCTC with all the different schools, some remote here, then remote there. That is a lot of work for those teachers.
Yeah, I also guess I'd also add too that in July of 2022, yes, July of 2022, Montoursville is actually up for the 3-year term to be board president and the superintendent of record for the LCTC. I believe that's up and coming. So,
Mr. Schimmel, I have a question quick. You said about Benton possibly would be added. There isn't any dropping out, any school districts dropping out, is there?
no, there's not, and it will make it a teeny bit more competitive. Benton won't be sending 40 people by any means, probably a half a dozen to maybe 10, but it can make some programs a little competitive.
Right.
Okay, Memorial Gardens, Mr. Kunkel.
No report.
Okay. Budget, Mr. Ulmer.
Looking forward to another budget year. Brandy's information is, I'm anticipating, I hope, good news.
As good as it can be with the pandemic, right?
Yes.
The challenge, okay. Building and grounds, Mr. Albert's not here, so no report there. Montoursville Foundation, Mr. Almer?
Yes, I would like to mention that the foundation has awarded a grant to Mr. Tucker in the ag program. It's a $1,500 grant to augment the curriculum within the mobile ag program. So I'm very, very happy to announce that.
Thank you very much. That is awesome. And then Mr. Kunkel.
I do think
Go
we
ahead.
should have Mr. Tucker in sometime.
To give us a
We should invite
presentation.
Mr. Tucker in.
And while we're talking about the ag program, I want to remind everyone that they are doing deer processing again this year.
And then how would they do that? How does can the public use that? Do they have to call the school or what?
Mr. Taormina, could you give the details on how the public goes about?
Yeah, they make arrangements with Mr. Tucker and they drop the deer off and the kids process it. I don't know the details of how they process it though, so nor do I want to know. But it's a good fundraiser for them and allows people to get their deer processed for pretty cheap.
Oh, good. Good plug with all the people we have on with our board meeting tonight then. Mr. Kunkel, do you have anything for extracurricular?
Do not.
Okay, back to you, President Schimmel.
Okay, thank you, Dottie. At this time, that will open open up the public comment session again for anything pertaining to the school district, both the agenda items tonight and then anything else that is on the public's mind that they'd like to offer some comments on. As we've moved away from the Q&A format, I like to, avoid that because that can tend to get drawn out and extended. And if you have, again, if the public has specific questions, it's always best to get to the administrator or the superintendent and ask to email, because those emails are on the website. Shoot an email out to that person and ask them your specific question. And then when they reply, you're going to have your answer to your issue, and you keep it on file too, so you don't forget, which I do sometimes. So with that, Sebastian, would you open up the public comment section?
Yep. So once again, if anyone from the public would like to speak.
Board, this public comment session's closed. We've all had a word to say, so I think at this time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn and have a safe and healthy
Second.
Christmas.
And we have a second from Dale. Sounds like we have a lot of seconds. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, good night, folks.
Good night.